It's always a pleasure to get to clinics and to represent our school. I was here last year as just a coach taking notes, and this is an outstanding clinic. What we're going to do is this. I'd originally planned to show each play, stop it, and then go into some question and answer and explanation of each play. We have to share the VCR, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start off showing you the plays in just a second and run through all of them, and then they're going to have to take this machine out of here, and then we'll go back and explain all these things. Here's a couple of things I want you to consider, though, before we do, and that is, why do you use trick plays on special teams? Because, as you know, there's a lot of different gadget plays in football. Believe me, we do a lot of stuff just from scrimmage, you know. We mix it up and do a lot of things just on our first, second, third down situations. But there's some reasons that we especially devote ourselves to trick plays on special teams. First and foremost, it's a lot of fun. It is just a lot of fun. And your kids, it's a great motivator in practice. And I'll tell you this, over the years, we have utilized a backup, sometimes in a starring role on these special plays, these trick plays on special teams, because that might be the highlight of his life. And it's usually somebody that nobody's keying on. You know, he's just kind of a non-entity out there. If he's a good athlete, a lot of times we like to feature him. And it sells a lot of tickets. You'd be amazed at how many people come up to me and talk to me about, boy, I tell you what, Coach, y'all are so exciting to watch. We never miss a game. They're not even connected to our school. But in Baton Rouge, they'll come out and see us play because they know they're going to see something unusual. And almost every game we try something. People forget about the ones that don't work. They really do. It's like they don't even know. Because sometimes these things blow up before they ever materialize. They don't even know there was a trick play called. And so when it doesn't work, you're not at too much of a disadvantage. Special teams afford you the best opportunity to be successful on a trick play. The reason being is because they have to spread the entire field out in the kicking game, whether it's a punt return, kickoff return, field goal attempt. The other team has to spread out. And it's your best opportunity to take advantage of the space that's out there. If it works, it can break the game open. And we have definitely had some game-winning plays on these trick plays. It can be a very demoralizing type play on an opponent. And I didn't write this down, but usually we do this early in the game. We normally do it early in the game because if we can get a cheap touchdown or a key first down very early when they're all pumped, you know, to play us and to beat us, and all of a sudden, bam, you stick it in the end zone quick, sometimes it has a tendency to put a pin in that balloon. It unsettles the opponent during the week. They're worried about it. I can tell you, it's driving them nuts because they know when they play us, we're going to do something. They don't know what it is. We're going to pull something. And they know that. And so it drives them crazy. And I think it's unsettling. I think it attacks their confidence level during the week. I think every time their punting team or their punt return team or their kickoff team runs out there, the coaches are like this because they don't know exactly what's coming. They're tight. So I think it unsettles them all during the week. I think it has a psychological effect on their preparation. And then it reduces the pressure you get on kicks. The only downside to always doing trick plays is that sometimes it becomes more difficult to pull it off because they're going to be back in a passive position. But I can tell you, we have kicked game-winning field goals. Now, this is no lie. In 1995, we kicked a game-winning field goal, 40 seconds on the clock. We're down by 1. We're lining up a field goal from the 15-yard line. There wasn't a single defensive man that crossed the line of scrimmage. They stood there and watched because they were so afraid that we were going to pull it. So our guy just kicked a game winner with no pressure. So it eliminates a lot of times the pressure that you're going to get on your punts or on your field goal or extra points because they're sitting back worried about what you're going to pull, okay? All right. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and show these things, and I'll do it more than once, because a couple of them you're going to say, okay, now what happened just there, you know? But we're going to go through it, and then I'll come back and explain it because they're going to have to borrow this. All right, this first one is what we call a covey return. Everybody came into a huddle and broke out. I'm going to rewind it just rewind it here. Hold on. Everybody's coming in the middle. This kid who caught it is actually the one that's going to keep it. That was in 1987. We haven't done that in a few years. We've done it since, but it doesn't really work well for a touchdown, so that's why I brought it. That was our first year there. This is a throwback on the kickoff. We like to run the wedge return, so we're going to show a wedge on this side. He's going to stop and throw it. We've got a wall set up. These guys are too bunched up. We've got a wall on this side, and this cat can go. That's the high school player of the year, by the way. National. Here, this is this year in a playoff game. This is a quarterfinal playoff game. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to set. There's a wedge on this side. There's a wall on this side. Now we're in a punt situation. Let me just stop it just for a second to tell you our basic set, and I'm going to draw this up. Our basic set is a double tight on punts, a double wing. From there, we can shift any number of ways. And we're going to shift a bunch and try to, here again, put them on the defensive on these things. By the way, that was a very poor throw. So we didn't get the first down. That was a fourth and about 15. We didn't get the first down. Here again, we're shifting. Now the punter's going to run up under the center. Idiot, get down. This guy didn't even get in. Sprint out. You'll like this one. Watch this guy. What the heck was that deal? Let's go back and show that again. Show you this one again. This is in the Superdome. First down. That's the first series of the game, by the way. The opening series of the game. This is the first punting situation of this game. Second quarter. Different year, different kids. This is 4 years later. This isn't a bad effort, by the way. That was in 95. Okay, now. See this down? Go back and look and see where the guy shifted from. So all right, what's happening is here's our two wings. Here's our punt protector. There's our punter. The two wings are shifting. Now just watch it unfold here. They get into a box. And it helps to have the guy be able to do all that. Here's another shift out of the punt. You know, the possibilities are kind of endless on this stuff. First down we get. Swinging gate on goal. You know, everybody does this, I guess. But I just wanted to show you that, you know, we got the standard swinging gate on the goal line. Here's one where here's the center wearing an eligible number. He's the end man on the line of scrimmage, okay? All the other linemen are here. Here's the two backs, the kicker. Kicker goes in motion. So now we got two eligible receivers. A third one releasing, and we threw to the center. Different configuration. Let me go back and just show you this, that this is a different configuration. At any rate, there was center, in man on the line of scrimmage. These two guys are flankered out here. Okay? Kicker, holder. Same thing, opposite side. Same exact deal. Here's all these guys, eligible receiver, two wide outs, kicker and holder right there. That's a state playoff game. That's right before the half. Huge play. Huge play. His knee is not on the ground. By the way, we called that puke special. That was the name of that. This tight end is going to run a deep drag. This guy doesn't read anybody releasing, see, so he just stays put, and we're going to drag behind him. Okay, that's it. Let me just rewind this. Okay, now I'm going to go back. You know, you've seen these things. I'm going to go back and explain what we're telling these guys on these plays. I'm just going to rewind this because I'm going to use this tape later. And by the way, there's a ton of other stuff that we do. But getting good tape on it and getting it transferred on that thing was kind of tough, so you didn't see everything. All right, let's talk first about the punting situations. Let me just tell you. And you can adapt, obviously you could adapt any of this to your own configurations, and it's whatever you're used to doing at your school. All right. Here you go. The personnel, this is important, because we don't want to change personnel on our punt stuff. You know, if the guy's doing a good job of scouting you and he knows that number 7 is your punter, and all of a sudden number 11 runs in there, red flag goes up, you know. So we do not change personnel ever on any of these things. That means you can't punt for me unless you can throw. You can't punt unless you're a great athlete. Now that may sound a little stupid, but that's just, since that's what we do, then that's one of the qualities of being a punter at Cadillac High. You better be a good athlete, and you better be able to throw the football. This guy is always going to be a quarterback or just a great athlete. You saw the underhanded deal, which I'll explain in just a second. The first time I ever thought about doing that, I was at a different school about 10, 11 years, well, about 11, 12 years ago. We had a guy that was Mr. Everything. His name was Todd Kinchin. And Todd played at LSU. He was all SEC, and he was playing for Denver. And Todd's an incredible athlete. He's just the best overall athlete I've ever coached. And for a guy that was, Todd's only about 6 foot even, he's got the biggest hands in the world. And he's just unbelievably strong and agile and everything. I saw him farting around in practice, you know, when everybody's going out and the quarterbacks are warming up and he's catching and doing it. And he would rifle the ball underhand, looked like a fast-pitch softball pitcher, back to the guy just farting around, and he was going like that. And he was throwing laser shot. I mean, it was like, phew. I said, yeah, I've never seen anybody do that. And I said, Todd, how far can you throw it like that? Dude, Coach, I can hum that puppy, you know. And he was getting it up. That thing looked like a punt. It wasn't going as far as a punt. It was going about 20, 25 yards. Spiral, tight spiral. So we started working on that back in '85 with Todd. We never ran it. I never did it in the game for some reason. Just, I don't know, whatever the situations were, never did it. But then when I got to Cadillac High, we had another great athlete. This guy was like, you know, multi-sport all-star. Wound up playing baseball for Skip Burtman at LSU in the outfield. Tremendous athlete. He was a wide receiver, and he was our punter and our place kicker. And this guy didn't come off the field. And he could do the same thing. So the first one you saw in the Superdome was Kevin Ainsworth. We worked with Kevin. And so whether he's a quarterback or just a great athlete, he's got to be able to throw the football. This guy's always going to be a quarterback or a fullback. So if this guy, we don't think this guy is real hot at throwing it, it'll be this guy, because all we'll do is shift right before the ball snap. We'll get into a shift, but the personnel won't be any different, okay? Of course, these guys are just headhunters. These guys are usually contained men. Now, this is what I like to do. Let me talk first. This is how your special teams trick plays help you just in your regular kicking game. We've got a hash. And let's say the ball's here, all right? More times than not, we will shift to trips to the wide side. Remember, they're here in these two wings. When we holler shift, they're probably going to shift one guy on that hash, one guy outside between the hash and the numbers. They both are headhunters. They just go flying down. What that does is it kind of screws up a wide side return, because typically you're holding up the contained man, and you may have one guy out there that you got to maybe kick out to the sideline, or whatever, you know, whatever it is your philosophy is on your punt returns. We got two headhunters out there, and they are flying to the ball. And now this guy widens out, and he's contained. You know, we're going to cover it like this. Okay. These guys are about 1.5 feet to 2 feet from each other. They're going to take an inside zone step and hinge. They're going to take an inside zone step with their hand here and hinge. And that's the way we block. Some people may look at that and see some weaknesses in the protection. The problem is we don't hardly ever see a rush, so we can get away with that. You know, some guys may not like that scheme. They may like being more responsible for inside gap or something. Not the way we do it. The way we do it, we usually don't get a whole lot of heat, okay? If we're backed up inside the 10, our own 10, then we won't shift. It's the only time we don't shift is when we're inside our own 10. And then we just stay in the double wing. The wings are now contained. There is no headhunter as such. The wings are contained, and the inside guys stay in a little longer, okay? Now, we'll shift to this trips over here. If we're in the middle of the field, and if we were on that hash, we'd shift to trips over there. We're in the middle of the field, then we just holler shift. See, this would be a shift right. We'd holler shift right. No, the punter needs to know this stuff. We just tell the punter shift right. Then if we're on this side, it's shift left. If we're in the middle of the field, then it's a double pro look. And, you know, they're spread out from number to number. And now these guys head hunt this way, and they contain like this. Okay? So that's what it looks like. Well, with all this shifting and going on, we had one punt. Santa Maria High School, who's a district opponent, we had one punt return for over 12 yards this year. That was it. Every other punt return was 3 yards, 2 yards, no yards, fair catch, whatever. Because they're not getting back into their return scheme. They're not busting their butt back there. You got to understand the psychology that's going on that return team. They're telling those guys, first thing you do is watch for fake. Then you get, well, those guys get hung up. They all stand around a lot of times. Crummy returns, you know. We've had LaGrange High School return to punt for a touchdown against us, and it was called back because they had a clip. That was in 1994. In 10 years, it's the only punt return for a touchdown against Cadillac High. And in the state championship game against Ruston in '90, it was the most awesome football team I'd ever seen. They blocked the punt and recovered it for a touchdown. One punt block in 10 years. That's not bad. You know, that's not bad. So, and it's because we do all this crazy stuff, and so they're more on the defensive than anything. They're worried more about Just don't let that sucker get a first down or a touchdown or something like that. Okay, so that's the way we line up, and that's the way we shift. All right, let's look at the first one. I wrote down, I was trying to get the order in which we did this. All right, the first one that I want to talk about is the throwback screen that you saw. That was this year. We did this. This guy was too slow. What we're doing is we're going to have this guy base, this guy base, this guy base. Everybody's going to kind of zone step this way and base, because once he gets it, he's not faking anything. He's taking off. He does not. He runs parallel to the line of scrimmage. This guy has whoever's contained. These guys are running their guys off. He's got whoever's contained. These guys are zone stepping, almost like a turn protection kind of situation, kind of a turn like this. On a sprint out pass. This guy turns like this. He drops back. After he turns, 1,000, 1,002. And he's got to go 1,000, 1,002 because it's a deep snap and a sprint out. So he can't leave too early. It takes time. 1,000, 1,002, zone step, 1,000, 1,002. Zone step after the snap, 1,000, 1,002. Put back to the inside. Okay. This guy runs. He went too long. We had a hard time during the week getting him to be patient. You know, you got to fake these guys out. He was just doing this and throwing. So, boy, we preached to him to carry out his fake, and he went too long. And it took too long a time because we had it. That thing was wide open. And by the time he sat there and kind of space shuttled ball back over here, they kind of recovered. This is an excellent deal here, because most teams, when you put that trips formation to the wide side, they're going crazy right there. They know that's 3 eligible receivers. You can run a flood pattern, and we do. And so they're going crazy. So that's our screen off this. Okay. Then we do run a sprint out. And it all depends on what that opponent does. It all depends on, you know, how they line up. But any 3-man flood sprint out pattern that you've got in your offense, you can run. You can run, you know, just double clear outs like that, almost like a goal line type sprint out. You can run 10 and out, post corner, you know, corner route, delay, hit, and delay. Sprint him out here, and that way he checks deep or throws short, or the delay, you know. It's up to you. I mean, we've done a million different things, so over the years we just fart around with it. You can run a rail. You know, you can run a rail. You can run him in, inside guy out here and up. You know, whatever you want to do in a 3-man pattern. But here again, all we got to do is these guys, all they got to do is turn protect, which is our standard terminology for how we block sprint out. Zone step and hinge, zone step and hinge. Right here, you've got contain, sprint out. You saw that when we did it, I think you saw that guy do a great fake. He had it and he went just like this and held the ball down, and then he sprinted out. I think that helps you a lot. These guys may not read it so quickly. Okay. Then we did something you saw. By the way, it may have been illegal. I mean, I didn't think about it at the time, but then after the game, I thought, you know, that's probably illegal, because if we're punting the ball, we don't, you know, you don't always have lineman numbers. You know, you got some linebackers and 47s in the game and all this kind of stuff, 83, and you know, they're all up on the line to punt, which we can do. Well, we had this deal going when they shifted. He ran up under the center. That was a kid named Haney, who was our quarterback. That was our fullback, so that's a quarterback-fullback deal. And we just ran a sprint out. I think he cleared out. He just ran an out. And he chopped, he sprinted out. That's just a regular scrimmage down. I don't know if those guys could be in the game with 35 and 17 and 28 and up along the line of scrimmage. I don't know that, but They didn't call it, so, you know, we did it. But anyway, we just shifted into a one-back double pro set. I mean, that's all it was a one-back double pro set. He cleared out, he ran a deep out, and we nailed that guy on the sideline for first down. You know, just on shift. Okay. Then, here's probably my favorite one. We call this video. The reason we called it video is because we saw it on a videotape. So we call it video. All right, this was that shift into the box. Okay. This guy, we wanted them to know that we were going to fake the punt. So what we did was we put a kid named Travis Weiner right here. Travis is phenomenal. I mean, the guy scored 47 touchdowns this year. Okay. So what we did is we shift. We had him drop back like this there. We had our quarterback. This was our quarterback. Shifted him here. Okay. Here's a guy that was going to actually be running the ball. He was a backup tailback. Wasn't a star of the show like I was talking about, but he was a good athlete. Here. And this guy who was our punter, he ran right up here. Okay. My bad. I'm sorry. This was the quarterback. I'm sorry. So this was our regular punter who was like back, and he just ran up here. So we got 4 men. We got 4 guys in a box. That's where we are now. That's where we are. We wanted everybody to block to their right. Everybody. Block to your right. We snap the ball to this guy. He runs up behind the guy and gets under him like a center snap. This guy drops down with the ball right there. Okay. This guy takes off running like a lead blocker. He hesitates and runs an arc. And it looks like we're just going to try to run an option over here, you know, and we're going to carry out the fakes. The guy did this. He ran out there, you know, and he just kind of did that, you know, and this guy did all this stuff. This guy is supposed to get it and hold the ball right there and go 1,000, 1,002 and take off. He panicked. He just chickened out. And, I mean, he did this and he's gone, you know. And it really, we could have scored if he had just, because what happens is this guy is flying in. On the film that we watched, it was a college game. It was Villanova versus somebody. I don't know, Boston College or something. Man, I tell you what, that guy right there blew by that kid. He was chasing these people, and that guy was still, he did a beautiful job, the college guy. He just held it right there. He didn't budge. That guy ran right by him. I don't know if they told him when a guy runs by you, take off what, but that's what happened. He did this, then he took off. He went 50 yards for a touchdown. Nobody even knew who had the ball. Our guy had to kind of school a guy here and then cut back. He's a good athlete, so he wound up going. This is something. This is a pretty good deal here. Now, you're talking about a play that everybody talks about. Well, I mean, if you were there in the stadium that night, you're still talking about that play. So that's a great play. All right. Yes. Yeah. This right here, it's 5 yards. Yeah, 5 yards. Because, you know, our standard deal is that protector's about 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and our punter's about 14. And so he gets on the same level. So he just becomes like the protector as far as positioning. Yeah. See, with this being our quarterback running this way, with this being Travis Weiner, who everybody knows when that guy's in the game, they're 28, you know, taking off this way. I tell you, it's pretty effective. Yeah, snapping it. Snap it. This guy gets it and just gets down like this, right there. And then he's going to do that. That guy just runs up the hut. The guy takes off like this. They act like they're running an option play. This guy, he just holds his position. 1,000, 1,002. That takes a lot of guts. Because he's down there and they coming, you know, but they just blew right by him, boy. So it works. Oh, and there's something I didn't say, but the guys that play us know that I'm telling you the truth. We'll do this anytime, anywhere, against anybody. If you don't, it's not going to be as effective. We'll do it first series of the game, middle of the game, state quarterfinals, championship, don't matter. Doesn't matter. We don't do this against somebody we're beating 80-0, and we don't do it against teams that are terrible. We do it, and they know that. Because they know that, it's what kind of has the big picture of getting the other team on the defensive and never being quite confident that, man, I hope they punt this thing. Now, let me tell you what. There's some coaching points on this. We call this underhand pass. We call it hammer. So here we are. We're in our double wing. They're going to shift out, and we want them suckers wide. Actually, let me move it down. We want them wide. Because I don't care, this guy can be armless, legless, it doesn't matter. They're going to put somebody out there. We're working one of these two. It could be either one. In other words, when we throw it, it can be either one. These guys just zone step, fan out, zone step and hinge out. These guys rip through the outside. We want them vertical. We don't want it angling anyway. We want them to rip through and go vertical. Okay? He's just doing his standard thing, first threat. On the snap, the center stands up. You may not have seen that. I should have said that and made you look at it. But the center snaps it and gets up. The reason he gets up is the punt returner, if you think about it, you got all these guys in a two-point stance except the center. He's down. You got this window. And that punt returner is looking right at the punter. When you think about it, he gets right with the punter. So if he stays down, he can see that guy doing all this stuff. So as soon as the ball's snapped, center pops up and gets tall. So he can't really see. Because what they're going to see, well, we don't split these. What they're going to see is this guy's leg going up in the air. So he's going to kick. Okay, he's going to kick his leg up in the air. And all of a sudden the ball's going to go up. So they think it's a punt. All right. These guys just run like fades. We tell them just run fade pattern. What we got is like an all-seam deal going, We'll have a rule. This guy's probably, just to be consistent the way we do it, we usually put the better receiver on this side and give him a rule. If he throws that ball dead center, that's his. Do not touch it and fight over it. Don't do that. Okay? Don't do that. It's his. If the ball goes in this area here, it's yours. If the ball goes this area here, it's yours. Okay? If it's in the middle, it's yours. So he's got priority. And if you notice the two times that I showed you, it was always that right guy that was catching the ball. But the ball was in the middle of the field. See, the other guy just backed off. All right. Here's what's great about this. Well, wait a second. Let me just tell you about the mechanics. So the guy gets the ball. He gets it, and he goes through his kicking motion like this and throws it. He wants the leg to come up as he's windmilling the throw. Okay, here, like that, all right? So they see the foot go up in there, and they see the ball go up. I'm telling you, it looks like a punt. If you're on the other side, you cannot tell. There's no way you can tell. You don't hear the thud of the ball, I guess, but other than that, there's no way to know that. We don't do this but once about every 4 or 5 years. If anybody that plays Calicut now, they practice against that. But 2 or 3 years from now, we'll do it again. They won't be ready for it because it'll just kind of fade away, See, the first one you saw was in 91. The second one you saw was in 95. And we did it in 90. We did it in 90 first time. We've done that 3 times. It was 3 for 3. One, we got a touchdown. Both other times we got first down. Did it 90, did it 91, did it 95. What you're looking for, you can get a couple of good things can happen on this. Interference. It's pass. It's forward pass. You can't be hitting my guys going down the field. Forward pass. Okay, ball across the line of scrimmage. You're up there jacking my guy going down the field. We're looking for that penalty flag. And boy, I mean, we're going to preach that. And I always tell the refs, listen to me, it's good field position. It'll be the first time, it'll be the first punt of the game. That way he doesn't go to sleep after we talked about it. He still kind of, he knows, oh man, they're going to do that tonight, you know. Yeah, we heard about that play, you know. So he's going to be looking for it. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be looking for it. And we tell him, hey, I want that flag. That guy's hitting my guys going down the field. That's interference. I want first down. Okay? Well, it's always, by the way, it's always interference. They're always hitting us going down the field. I mean, it's just, and we got it called one of those 3. We declined it because we caught all 3 of them. So we declined the 1 penalty. But I got news. It was interference every time we did it. So, boy, you drum that into the referee's head. And then, obviously, you can get, you know, the first down because those guys are going to back away because they think now it's a shank punt. So usually when the guy's getting ready to go up for the ball, they're doing this. They're getting away from it. They got a Peter call or, you know, whatever short punt. They're, Peter, and they're backing up. We're catching the ball, you know, first down. So, you know, this is a heck of a play. This is a heck of a play. These things like that video that is so crazy, or this one that's so crazy, you can't pull them off but once, or maybe once a year or once every 2 or 3 years. You know, they just need to be in the repertoire. Okay. Y'all have any questions about that? Is that pretty explanatory? Okay. Field goal extra point. We do the swing gate like everybody. I don't think I got to go through that deal. I mean, we do it. We put center with an eligible number. Okay. If we've got a guy that is a good deep snapper and he's a receiver, running back, linebacker, you know, a guy with an eligible number, then he's our deep snapper on field goal extra point. That's it. He's the guy. That way, here again, we're not changing personnel. We don't give it away. Oh, it's 7's in the ball game. You know, we don't give it away. But if we don't, if our best deep snapper is a center or whatever, then we will sub on this. So the thing to do is, because they know that we do all these fakes, you got to change them up. You got to change them up. We did, so I got to confess this. We played a team one time, and we didn't do this at the end of the game. We did it on the first extra point. We did it when it was 6-0, first quarter, so the guy couldn't say you were trying to rub something in or something. We didn't do that. First play of the game, 6-0, we called it. And what we did is we had the center here, and we had a holder here. We had a kicker here. We had everybody else over here. And man, they were running all over the place doing everything. And we snapped it here, and we kicked it. We had no protection. Had no rush. None. Yeah, just like practice, pre-game practice. Yeah, I kicked it. You know, we just did it to do it. You know, just. All right. So we're going to put that eligible number here. We can do it a couple of ways. Is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? You can do it a couple of ways. We did it first time you saw it. We had the double wings. We had the holder and the kicker. If, you know, obviously this guy's usually a quarterback, you know. So what we'll do is sometimes, like you saw, we put the kicker in motion. Okay. He ran back at the end zone and here. This guy snapped and ran a flat. This guy ran a drag here. And he can either just stand there and throw it, or he can sprint out and throw it, or run it. We've had the quarterback run it in. You know, we did this several times when Warwick Dunn was our quarterback. We just did that. We even did that just from field goal, like 15-yard line or something. You know, all right, it's 4th down and 5. We're at the 15. All right, and whatever we call this, whatever our name, we change these names up all the time. Whatever we call it, and Warwick just ran it in. I mean, that was a great scrimmage play because their defense is over here, really, and they got a couple of guys out here. Boy, if you got a great, you got a good option quarterback, you know, guy everybody worries about on the option, and he holds on your extra points. You're talking about a great scrimmage play. They got to put all these guys over here. They got to. You can't, heck, we'll throw it over here, a screen or a swinging gate throw over here. So they usually, okay, we got 1, 2, 3 here. They're going to put 3 or 4 guys here. You release these guys, they got to cover them. Now you're back to one-on-one with Warwick Dunn, one of their guys. I'll take that. And so we just, you know, we ran that just as a scrimmage play on a 4th down when it looked like a field goal situation. That was great. Their defense is all over here. But anyway, you can do that. We did it where we shifted. We'd get like this, we'd shift. And these 2 guys went over here. Now we got trips. See, now we got trips with these guys. And you run the flood pass like on the goal line. It's great on the goal line deal. See, if you get in these configurations, they're going to go man. They're going to go run man. They're going to say, okay, they got all these guys here. Okay, they got this guy. Okay, you got him. You got him. You got to cover that guy. He can go out, son. They're going to go man. So you just run your basic flood type stuff. You pick them off, curl, in the flat, with all the defense over here. You know what I'm saying? It's like just calling a sprint out pass, but you're forcing them to get a bunch of guys over there. And we're going to sprint out this way. Then we had done this a couple of times. We did this like 3 or 4 times during the season. We were playing a team in the playoffs. And so we said, and these guys are good, and they scout good, and boy, you know, they got more film on us than we got in our own coach's office. And so we said, well, this is what we'll do. Now this sounds very simple and all. It was amazing. It just blew their brain. You saw, I said, we'll do it the other way. You saw us doing it the other way. The kid caught it sliding in the end zone. The center did. Well, we shifted the team. This was good. We shifted. That was the kicker, and this was the holder actually. Okay. There. We shifted this group to that side and left those guys there. So all these guys ran over here. I'm over here, you know, because they worked all week on us shifting these 2 kids over here. They got that down, boy. You can forget this one, Charlie. You ain't, okay, well, we just shifted all those guys, left them there, and ran it that way. It's amazing. It was just something a little different. You know, we had never done it. You're not going to practice against something a guy's never done. And what that did was that gave us a 1-point lead at halftime, and like I figured, that really disrupted them because they were a heavy favorite, and we wound up beating them because they went into the locker room. That's why I said these things could be game breakers. We had nothing to lose, nothing. Hey, we were within 1 point. They're supposed to beat our brains out. We were within 1 point. This was like 20 seconds going to half. I said, shoot, we're going for it. So, because if we don't make it, so what? We're going at halftime down by 1. That was better than everybody thought anyway. Well, we went into the half up by 1. Man, those guys were going crazy. And they kind of fell apart, and we won the game. So just something subtle like that. Just something subtle. It's just something we had never done. Fire that dog on, you know. You saw the over-the-shoulder flip deal. You got to understand that you cannot have your knee on the ground when the quarterback gets rid of the football. It doesn't matter whether he's lateraling it. Doesn't matter whether he's doing that or throwing a forward pass. Because if he tries to do something with the ball, then the ball's dead. He's down if his knee's on the ground. You know, that exception is he can get up and sprint out and all that like everybody does. So what we do is, and it's pretty hard to see. The coaches can see it from the sideline, but I don't think the players can see it too well. Instead of taking a knee like this or something and getting does the quarterback take a knee closest to the line of scrimmage? No, I can't remember. Anyway, whether he can't take a knee here, so what he does is he does this. He just gets like this and takes it like that. Now he can do anything with the ball because neither knee is on the ground. You know, so we can do shuffle passes. We did a shuffle pass. I couldn't find the tape. I couldn't find what we had done with that. I think one of the coaches had it or something. We did a shuffle pass, which is very good. I find that because we're right-handed almost every time, You know, most of you fakes tend to go that way. You know, most of you fakes are rollouts and things that way. So the other guys, understanding all that, when we do get heat, we almost always get it from this side. So we ran a shuffle pass. Everybody blocked down. This guy just kind of kicked out. This guy zoomed in, and we just, forward, and he ran in the end zone like that. Boy, it was huge, wide open, wide open. So, you know, you can do that kind of thing to take advantage of what they do. When we did this over-the-shoulder deal, these guys just blocked a regular extra point because we didn't want anybody on this side to read any kind of release and holler fake or anything. So they just blocked down inside, blocked down inside. This guy was flying in from the outside. You know, he stepped toward the ball and then did that. He's right here. And he took off, okay? Flipped it over the shoulder. This guy did a back of the end zone drag, and this guy stayed in and blocked. So one receiver deal, because we felt like since these guys aren't going to read anybody releasing, they'll stay in tight, or they'll just go ahead and put some heat. And this guy may be able to run it in himself. You know, he might be able to run it in himself, or you see this guy going across the back of the end zone. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Yes, sir. That's the tight end, yes. This wing just stayed in here. Here again, this guy's name was Will. Never hardly played. Yeah, I like to do that with these kids. You know, this is a guy, this was his big moment in the sun right there. That guy will talk about that play the rest of his life. I like doing that kind of thing. If he's a decent athlete, you know, and you can utilize him, I think that's a great way to have that guy be a hero and everybody patting him on the back at school and the whole bit, you know, and that meant a lot to him. He just drug across the back of the end. First extra point of the game. I emphasize that because what happens is we'll do a lot of this stuff. The final score may be, you know, pretty, you know, 49 to zip or, you know, something like that. I don't want anybody to ever say, yeah, y'all did that because you were beating their brain. We're not going to do that. And I don't care if they're good, they're bad. You know, I always tell our kids, fellas, we can't control how good they are. So every week we're going to play Cali Cow football. If they're pretty good, it'll be a heck of a game. If they're not, we're going to kill them. We're going to play Cali Cow football. So we're not going to do that at the end of the game. We're not going to do that when somebody's down and out. Not going to do that. This was the first extra point of the game. Kid caught a long touchdown pass for us. Everybody was, yeah! And I said, go. I forget what we call this one. Go with it, man. Guys ran in, executed, place went nuts, you know. And what that does, here again, you just scored. I like to go for two. I like to do this on two-point conversion. I like that. And I'm going to tell you something. Psychologically, they just gave up a big play. Man. And then on top of that, they hit a two-pointer. That's huge. It's just huge to the opponent. It's just, God, dog, you know. And now the confidence level goes down. I'm a great believer in the psychology that we deal with. There's so many psychological aspects to what we do. And that's like a stake in the heart sometimes, you know. By the way, I didn't have this, and I don't know that you call it trick plays or anything like that. What time? I've got 15 minutes. We do kick off from either hash. I believe in this too. We kick off from either hash. If we kick off from this hash, we've got 4 guys from the hash to the sideline. We've got 6 guys to the wide side. We onside kick a bunch. You know, it all goes back to the philosophy. All these things that I'm talking about, they're really not for everybody because some guys are not, and you know, and we get our butt whipped all the time by guys that have a totally different philosophy. They're very conservative. They're very defensive minded. They're ball control. They don't take chances. They'd rather play the field position game. I understand. As a matter of fact, there are probably more winners that adopt that than play like we do. I understand that. That's just not me. I can't do that. So we want the ball. Many times we get the ball, we want the ball. So we onside kick a lot. In the old days, Texas is still NCAA, right? NCAA rules, huh? Right. Well, in the old days, I don't know what it reads like now. What we used to do is, man, I'm talking about, this was automatic. You get this old soccer type kicker right here, and he just, I don't know what the rules are with the NCAA or anything. I know what our rules are now. We can't do this. He'd just approach the ball, and he'd just give it a, and he'd just get this pooch thing, and we'd catch it in the air, 10 yards past the line here, you know, right beyond the 50-yard line. We did it all the time. It was just, why didn't everybody do that? It was just amazing to me. And you get that kid working on that if he's a guy that doesn't play a position, if he's just a kicker, or you know, he's a kicker, but he's a third team somewhere. Man, let that guy work on that and kick on that. And it was just, it's amazing. They could just drop it in a basket almost all the time. Just do that, you know. Matter of fact, we had a kid, a guy, Jason DeQueer. Jason was a 3-time all-conference kicker at Howard. They played Southern in the Heritage Bowl this year, and he kicked the winning field goal. And Jason was so accurate with these kind of things. We were behind in a big game, 2 undefeated teams, you know, and we lost this game, but we were behind. It was a huge game, and we scored to pull within 5 points or something. And there's like a minute and a half left. When we scored, I said, Jason, and I did this so the opponent would hear it. I said, Jason, kick it at 65 right there. Hit him right here, right there. And that guy, shit, oh, you know, that guy hit him between the numbers. I mean, drilled him. Boom! Boy, it came off there. We grabbed it. We got it. And we went on down to the 4-yard line before time expired. So, you know, if you got a guy that's a good soccer-type kicker, maybe he's got a soccer background or something. Heck, they're always having to kick goals, and they're quick with their feet and stuff. Do this kind of thing. We can't do that any longer with our rules. You can't touch the ball in the air before the opponent does. So, boy, that took away. Like, we don't onside as much anymore, but we still do it. And we like to do it without any shift. We like to do it without a shift. We don't want to give it away. Here again, you know, you put yourself in the opponent's position. We're going to kick off. And they know that there's a real good chance we're going to onside. And it gets everybody uptight. Just the whole world is uptight. Was it Gordon Wood, or was it somebody else I heard a few years ago? It was a very successful old coach here in Texas who always onside kick. I mean, the guy, that's all he ever did. Was it Gordon Wood? I don't know who it was. Well, this guy was talking, I claim he was old, though, and he'd been around for a long time. He didn't do anything but onside kick. That's it. They don't kick off. They just onside kick. They got about 65% of them, something like that, you know. So, at any rate, we'll put it over here. Sometimes we get a situation where when they line up, their front line kind of cheats this way. They kind of cheat them more to this wide side, because most of our kicks are like this. If you're right-footed and you're a soccer-style kicker, that's a much easier motion to come across your body and kick, you know, like that. You know, that's the normal way to kick it. So most of our onsides go over here. If we get them cheating over, then what we have is we tell the guy, you got to work on this. We tell them, don't soccer style it, but come up here and kick the nose of the ball. Just kick the nose of the ball this way. And so these guys are going for the ball. And that has worked a couple of times for us right there. We kick off from either hash. We kick off from the middle of the field. The reason I bring that up is just because that screws up some kickoff returns. If they're the kind of return team that numbers them, okay, you got number 2, you know, R2, R3, R4, you know, whatever. We like to change it up to make sure, boy, those guys are on their toes. Okay, I got this guy, I got that guy, you know, that sort of thing. Okay. Is there any questions about any of this stuff? Or does anybody, I'm going to turn this around, does anybody have something that I can bring back to Baton Rouge with me? Does anybody have a trick play that you want to share with us? Because I'm a thief. I mean, if you got something, yes, sir. I didn't see the whole game. Were they next to him or just swinging gate?
They were straight line.
All right, so the
Yeah,
center's here.
and then four linemen to the left. That guy is tight end on
Right here, okay.
two linemen to the right.
Okay.
Two wing backs, normal relationship to the right.
Oh, okay. That's what we did this year. I forgot to tell you that. That's what we did this
All Navy did was kick out.
year. Yeah.
When I saw it, I drew it up to scale.
Coach,
And when angles, you can't get to the kicker.
for 9 years, we ran a standard double wing field goal extra point like everybody else. Boy, I tell you, I'm senile. This is what we did all year. This right here. Southern Miss does this. The guy in charge of special teams at Southern Miss is a guy named Joe Robinson. Joe is terrific. He is one of the best. He's a personal friend of mine. We coached together in high school, but he's in charge of special teams, and they did this. And he said, Dale, man, I know you like to do all that crazy stuff. Coach, you need to get in this double wing thing. That's 3 eligible receivers right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't even think of this. Yeah, we did this year. I was so busy. I went back. What I did was we make a highlight tape every year. And all I did was I went back to 10 years of highlight tapes and got some of these trick plays off of it. But, well, I just forgot this year, stupid, you know. So, yeah, we got into that trips. And, man, you can do all kinds of things. You can do all kinds of things. We, watch this, Coach. We got trips. And they know that now. They know this guy. This guy's eligible. Man, you got to be there. And you're going to get a lot of man. You can pick these guys. You can run any configuration of screens, picks, everything you want to. Put that rascal in motion. Now you got 4 eligible receivers, and they're bumping. They're bumping. And shoot, we just run. We usually would run this guy up. This guy do this. This guy's in the flat with him running to the back of the end zone. I'm going to tell you, they're going to lose that guy. They're going to lose that guy. Right. Just on, no, that was just on that thing or the shuffle pad. There's 2 plays where he actually gets rid of the ball down there. His knee's got to be off the ground. No, sir, we don't. And so, you know, we got a tape, I think it was against Karen Crow, where our audio, when the guy was taping, he must have been right next to the Karen Crow coaches, I guess. I don't, because we heard everything. On the tape, we could hear everything they were, you know, saying, and which was interesting. You could hear him. All right, his knees on the ground. His knees, you know, when we scored a touchdown and we were lining up, you know, all right, we're okay. His knees on the ground, you know. Watch for, you know. So, yeah, the coaches can see all that. I don't know if the players can see that or not. I mean, I really don't. But, man, I forgot about this. I'm sorry. But, yeah, this is what we did all year long. This was our configuration. This is what we'll be doing in the future. That's 3 eligible receivers. All of a sudden, you got a 4th guy. Man, it's unbelievable. Now, this kid has really no protection unless you leave. Well, you can designate one of these guys to stay in, and they wouldn't know which one to help protect. So when he threw the ball, all he did was take another 3-step drop because they're coming, and, you know. But see, with all these releases, who comes from the outside? It's a corner that came up hard. Maybe the safety, they put him up and put the corner. Those guys ain't going to be coming real hard. Why? Because you got 4 receivers out here. They ain't coming hard off the corner. They're coming up from here. So you got time, you know. That's just a wedge. We wedge on this stuff. If he released, we would. But we wedge. We just wedge right there. Yeah. Well, that's, yeah. Typically, like if we were kicking, they're like this and at a slight angle, and all they're doing is this. All they're doing is that right there, and this guy's foot is right inside that guy's foot about right here, and all he's doing is this. And boy, I tell you what happens, by the way. See, this extra man is just like having a wing over here, like you always had. So the space is just about the same. And this is real deep. When that guy's flying off that corner, he can't block that thing. He can be the fastest guy in the world, but he's coming from such a deep angle around that second wing. Kick it, you know. That is good stuff. I like that. It lends itself to a lot of things. Or you can do this. We worked on this, never ran it. We're here. All of a sudden, this guy just goes in motion this way. So you got 2 receivers there. You got 2 receivers there. You still got a guy that can now stay in and block on a sprint out or just protect. So you went from, you got trips over here, and now all you did was motion to double eligible receivers. That's a good deal too. See, that is different than saying you got 2 eligible receivers here, because the defense can compress and identify who they got in case of a fake on either side. Once you put 3 guys over here and okay, I got him, you got him, you got him, boy, if you all of a sudden the guy goes in motion. This guy, whoever, he's got to bump out. Somebody better cover that guy, because you made him bump out, but you still got 2 receivers back over here. You know. So, yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And by the way, we evolved into these different things. We used to be just that double wing on a punt. Going back to the punts for a second, we were just double wing on a punt, and sometimes we just shift out. You know, we just shift out, and we did that for a couple of years, and then I said, you know what we're going to do, and I'm not lying about this. You know what we're going to do? We're going to shift both of these guys out to the wide side. And Don Hood, who's our special teams coach, said, why are we going to do that? What are we going to do? We ain't going to do nothing. We're just going to shift them to the wide side. Well, why do that? I said, Coach, watch those guys. This is a big rival. You know, I said, watch those guys when we do that. Hey, go. You know, they're going, we just pump the ball, but just to do it, you know, just for no other reason. And then we started using it, you know, like three eligible receivers and flood patterns. Like, well, we just did it to do it. Well, Coach, we're losing. We're going to. Don't worry about it, Coach. I know those guys. They're going to go crazy. Don't worry about it. You know, and they're screaming and going crazy. No punt return. 0 punt return. Nothing. They so worried about what's going to happen. It's kind of hard to hustle back into the wall or whatever you've got going on your punt return. You know, it's kind of tough. So that's why I think you could. We'll have a game. You know, fans. What do they know? We'll have a game, and literally, because what we do is after the ball game, we all go back to school and we have a fellowship with the parents and everybody. We have meal, you know, potluck. That's after every ball game. A home game. If we're way out on the road, we don't. But home, and so the kids can talk to their mom and dad. You know, typically, there's a little off the subject, but it's important. Typically, ball games played, the guy may or may not see his dad or mom after the game. He's gone with Mary Lou. You know, he's just gone, boy. You know, I'll see you at 1 in the morning or something. So I like the parents to have an opportunity to connect with their kid, everybody to pat him on the back, give him a big hug, console him, if that's what the situation calls for. I want the coaches and the parents to feel like we're in this deal together. We don't hide from them after a loss. Oh, God, man, let's get out of here. Let's stay in the cave all night, you know. We don't do that. We get right back up in front of them, talk to them. All that. I'll address everybody. I'll blow my whistle, stop, stand up on a chair like this, and I'll address everybody. Our varsity is like 103, 104 players. So with all those people, with the cheerleaders and all that, my daughter was a dancer. We got them all in there. I mean, the place is packed after every ball game. But we're pretty close-knit because of that, I think. And you know, we're like everybody else. We got some 0 parents, you know, just horrible, turds, the whole bit. But most of them are great, and they appreciate that. Boy, particularly the mom. Mom loves that opportunity to give her son a hug and everything. Psychologically, I'm getting back to psychology, but I think all this is important in building your program. It connects everybody, and you'll be amazed how few confrontations you have with parents if you're willing to go out on a limb and do those types of things. It really minimizes the stuff. And by the way, and this is totally off the subject, by the way, I never have a conference with a parent unless the player's in my office with them. Never. We're all going to be right there because everybody's going to hear it the first time. We're not going to lose anything in the translation from son to parent. You should heard what he told me. Well, they won't have to find out that way. We're all going to say it together, you know. That's besides the point. But at any rate, is there anything? Did anybody else have a player? Right. Yes. Yeah. We see a lot of squib kicks, like this boy we had, Travis, phenomenal. He'd only had like 6 kick returns in 14 games. They just didn't kick to him. And like, you know, 2 of those 6 he put in the end zone. So, you know, yeah, they squib it on the ground, they pooch kick it and that kind of stuff, yeah. And and like I say, it gets tougher and tougher to fake a field goal or punt because we don't get any pressure and everybody's back. So it gets a little harder. We got to be creative to do it, you know. But, well, what I started to say, and I got a little off track, I said it's amazing. We'll have a game, we'll win the game, you know, win the game. And the first thing you hear from the parents, man, y'all are pretty conservative tonight. I didn't see any trick plays out there. Shoot, you know. I say, well, it's all right. You know, the opponents are glad we didn't. You know, I mean, you know, what we're doing is accomplishing what we want, whether we actually run something or not. You know. So, all right. And I'm gonna be in here. We're gonna be talking about our multiple offense next, and thank y'all.